and welcome to a special episode of United Minutes Podcast. I will be your host this early morning for Ahmed and I, and mid morning for Taylor and Dan. I think we lost Dan for there. You just gotta love when you're recording live, but he'll be short. Oh, there it is. There's Dan. For those of you that are new to the podcast, we do this show twice a year, where we talk to our friends across the pond about how they are viewing the Orlando City season. Surprisingly to me, our good friend Ahmed is joining us after missing his train back to Orlando. Uh, then, if you can hear us, is that the situation? You can hear us, then? We're talking. Can you hear us? All right. So it's like Dan is having some technical difficulties. Which, if you watch the show on a regular basis or listen to it, you know that's a common thing. So first, let's talk to Taylor. My good man, how are you?
Good to be on, man. It doesn't seem too long since we did the last one of these, the last half term report. So time flies, right? When you're having
Yeah,
fun.
my brother. It's been 6 months. I'm glad. I'm happy to have you. And then people always ask me about the episodes, and you got a different perspective, right? From people from afar. Ahmed, you need no introduction, sir. Obviously, you pay full price for tickets that at the end were given for free for
I'm trying to
people
forget about that, man.
that had 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 Fahrenheit, and we're breathing 20 to 15 to 20 breaths per minute. So I guess that was where the qualifications. How did the go? How did the game go, man?
The game was great, man. I mean, honestly, the last 2 weeks, between the friendly they played last week and this game, it was just an amazing experience. I mean, I haven't seen an international game like that. There's a difference. We always talk about like the culture and the support. It was nice to see, like even at the friendly against Pachuca, it was nice to see a whole bunch of people just show up, random, had no clue about anything, didn't know each other from a hole in the wall, and it was like a big family. And everybody was chanting. I mean, and I'm talking about these was not supporters groups. This is like 60-year-old ladies, 80-year-old ladies, old gentlemen. Everybody in the stadium was just chanting. It was amazing. It's
Oh
what you
wow!
want. That's what that was the biggest part for me, at least for my son, when we went to the games. He was like, you know what? Like at the Pachuca thing, he was like, it was the atmosphere. And for him to say that, he's been at the stadium, he's been at the wall, so he's seen the stadium fully packed and stuff. But for him to say that, and he was right, so the atmosphere was amazing. Um, our play that was a different story yesterday, but it could have been better. The outcome could have been better, but we move on, and we have a new coach, and we'll see what happens. I'm still very optimistic about our chances in the tournament, but we need to get some stuff. We need to get our stuff together.
Got you. And our good friend Dan is having some issues. That just
Still okay.
Yeah.
Let's
Dan,
see.
can you hear us now? Can you hear us, Dan?
Yep, I think we got him this time.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan, we can hear you. Oh, hold on a second. Let me let him know.
I don't know if you realized that we could hear him.
I think the problem is he can hear us.
Ah,
I think the problem is that he can hear us. So, all right. Well, Taylor, give us your thoughts on the season so far while I try to help out Dan.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, delighted to grab a gritty 1-0 last night. Colorado Rapids. Anyone who knows Major League Soccer will know that is an incredibly tough place to go. The Mile High City, they call it in Denver. So I know our players in years gone by. Yesterday, they would have been gasping for air throughout that game. Really, really unique place to play football. So, yeah, delighted to get a win. We really needed a win. I was slightly concerned with the two defeats back to back. It's an incredible run before that. So, So we really needed. It was one of those games last night, and I was like, please, any win. It doesn't matter how ugly. We just need to, right the ship, get some confidence, get some morale back, and that's what we got. Tincho Ojeda, fantastic 2025 so far, and it was a bit of a spill. Don't get me wrong, by Nico Hansen in the Rapids goal, but we'll take it, man. And then we know, once we get a lead in a game, we know our defense is very, very good at Major League Soccer level. So we saw it out, and another little bit of a gap now. The scheduling's kind of weird. It was like
Hmm.
2 days in May, and now we have to wait again. Such is the calendar, but yeah, with that gap in mind, just delighted to get.
Yeah, for sure. Three dates in June after the May that we had. Complete insanity. And May, I gotta tell you, and we had said this before. May was a very difficult month for our club, playing 3 games a week
Mm,
basically. And I know that the argument has been made that they're professional football players and they're
mm,
supposed to get used to this and that. But I have made the argument, not so much on the show, online, talking to people, that on average, a football player will run about 12 miles per game.
yeah.
So imagine doing that 3 times a week.
Mm,
At some point, you have to pay for that, and it's very difficult for me to justify, saying that it doesn't matter when it does. Dan, can you hear us now? We can hear you, brother. We can hear you. We can hear you. All right, let me text him here. We can hear you. All right, because I. All right, so, uh, well, let's see here. Oh, he's showing offline on for what the audience is watching. So, all right, so we're fighting this thing. Sorry, guys, but the let's start with the beginning of the season, Taylor. Basically, we once again stick in the mud. I spoke with he's gonna try a different device. Probably that's the problem. Um, at the beginning of the season, I went to the event where you get to talk to Oscar Pareja. He laid out his vision. He said, obviously, the season ended in heartbreak. I want to get your opinion about that. I went to the game, and I was heartbroken, but I took it as well. It's just the cruelty of football is how it is. Every year in the English pyramid, you see people going to playoffs and wishing very, very, very hard that their club moves forward, and it just doesn't happen for them. And sometimes the team that gets to move on is a team that finished lower in the table.
yeah,
So I took it as that. It was just, it wasn't our year. Disappointing to see Red Bulls go to LA and then just get shown. So it's like, man, how could we have lost to them? So let's hear your opinion about that. And Dan, are we good, brother? I can hear you. We can hear you. Okay. Go ahead, Taylor.
yeah. So, did you have to bring it up, David? Yeah, heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken. But yeah, the way you kind of took it, it was one of those. We'd never played at that level before. So we'd never contested an Eastern Conference final before, and it can happen. The Red Bulls are a very good side. They got absolutely swatted aside, didn't they, to Galaxy in MLS Cup itself. But they're a very good side, and we just come up short. There wasn't a lot between the teams. We just come up short. But heading into this season, we know Pappy makes playoffs now, but the expectation to take it right back to the beginning of the season, you said you spoke to him at the event. The expectation for us this season is to win MLS Cup, as far as I'm concerned. We had a
Hmm.
taste last season of the Eastern Conference Final, and we've have we gone deep? We've flirted with the playoffs, haven't we, under Pappy's tenure? But really, that was the first time we've gone really deep to a final. So I'm hoping, we're all sports fans. I remember back to MLS's back when we lost to Timbers in the final, and I'm a great believer that you have to really experience that raw pain of almost getting to where you want to get to then scale the mountain. No pun intended, just playing at Rapid. But really, that's what this season is for me. So I want to go and win MLS Cup. Obviously, it's a very tough thing to do. This league is so difficult and so enduring, so unique compared to other leagues around the world. But if we can get, the expectation amongst the fan base really is what I want to speak about, and we're all expecting to go deep. And let me just say, right here, 12 minutes into this pod, I'm very happy with the trajectory we're on this season. I think we're having a good season, a solid season. With not having that summertime sadness. You mentioned May was so tough. There is too much soccer in the month of May. It's ridiculous for the depth of squads that MLS allows. And I think we're doing good. If we lost again last night, it would be a bit tougher to speak how I'm speaking now. But honestly, I think overall, I'm impressed with the team this season. There were too many draws at one point, but we managed to turn a few of those into wins. And I think now you can look back at that 12-game unbeaten run and be very happy with it. Fifth in the Eastern Conference right now, but it's tight. So that fifth could easily be a second the next game week. We could easily slide down the snake. It's a game of snakes and ladders in the East right now. It's
Mhm.
so tight. But the main thing I really wanted to say today is that because we just had two losses before this Rapids win, and I saw a load of people losing their shit. And don't get me wrong, this is soccer; it's a game of opinions. But I was just like, come on, calm, please, because there were two main things going into this season for me. It was, can we avoid the summertime sadness again? Because that's where we usually play ourselves out of the top four, and then have to play catch up the second half of the season, which we always tend to do. That was the first major gripe. And then the second major gripe was just how exciting this team is to watch. Pappy, we know he can do the 1-0 special on the road, as we saw last night, but can he really unlock the attack? Can we really be exciting? Can we get multiple goal scorers across the front line? And I think we've seen that this season. I think we've seen that. So half-term report, I would give our season a strong 7.5 out of 10 so far. Honestly, I would. We saw Cesar Rujo succumb to the red mist. So for all of the people that say, this team is too high, they're too emotional, it really matters. I get that, and I was super disappointed. But I was just like, come on, please. What this team's already done this season, let's just add some perspective. I hate losing to rivals. Don't get me wrong. I hated losing to Atlanta, but these things happen. It was the heat of battle. Cesar should have kept his head. I was really pissed at him, but overall, I think the team's rallied and they're really playing for Pappy this year. I really do.
Gotcha, my brother. Um, we're trying to help our friend Dan here to get on. Ahmed, if you could take over a little bit so I can help out Dan, I'll appreciate that.
Sure, man. Sure. So, I mean, you know, I know you were talking about the getting. I really and
And
I
uh,
mean, like to your point, we've had a really good. Were you talking? Can you hear me?
Yes.
yeah. That you had a
Okay.
little bit of lag. I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, okay. Um, my biggest concern right now. I mean, we're having a great season. Is that consistency? And I mean, we're showing it now, but we get through these next couple of games. Hopefully we have some good results. Where are we right now in the standings, by the way? I
Yeah, so we've climbed back up to fifth. So
Okay.
after the Chicago defeat, which was super disappointing, our defending was horrendous that night. So we slipped back down to seventh. But as I said, the East is a bit of snakes
I
and
mean,
ladders at the
the
moment. You know,
thing,
it's so tight. So we're back up to fifth as it stands.
my connections.
All right. So of course we're having fantastic. What a nightmare. But it's all right. So let's go to something that I wanted to talk to you guys. Hopefully we can get that on. Last home game I sat in front of a Wrexham fan, and Liam, if you're listening, thank you, my brother, for the kind words. After the last show, because he said, "Oh, thank you guys for mentioning me and all that." Um, and you know, the Welcome to Wrexham documentary is very popular here in the states, and I don't know if it's much so in the UK. I know over there is Disney Plus that carries it. Here in the states is Hulu. I always been fascinated by the game of football, the business end of it,
Mm.
and I follow people on LinkedIn for basically the clubs that I follow, and I have learned quite a lot about it. The audience is different, so for Orlando City, the things they post there, I noticed that they don't post like on the regular social media, because they're more like, community based. The people that work for the club post things about, attendance, basically generating money, and I'm fascinated by the whole thing. I'm fascinated by the business of football. So I was talking to this Wrexham fan, and then I think we can hear you now, brother. The issue is that he can't hear us, but he we can hear him. We can hear you. We can hear you. Dan, talk. Oh, hold on a second, because we can hear him. So obviously, if you are if you are watching the show or listening to it, you can hear him. So anyhow, in I was very complimentary to him at the fact that the his club gets this rebirth by being bought by American Canadian slash Canadian millionaires, and they have taken them all the way to the championship. And I said again, not thanks to Stevenage, because we beat him home and away. And we made, by the way, on not this last two episodes, Stevenage has been showcased. So thank you very much. The situation is, Taylor. Do you think that the problem here is just lack of money for Orlando City? I personally don't think so. I know that when we were in the Open Cup, and we're obviously gonna go to that topic. Um, the I was people were like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. We already won this. I don't want our players getting hurt. Blah blah blah, whatever." And I was like, "Well, you win, you add the purse money to your transfer money. The league allow if you win a championship, the league allows you to add that money so you can get more players or better players. And the idea that a lot of people have is the Will family are billionaires, then they can put money from their own account into the club, and that's not how it works.
No,
A business has to be, and you know this because your management in I think it's like a parts company for technology.
yeah,
Taylor, that's what you do.
yeah,
So you understand this. The business has to generate revenue so to reinvest. If you are
yes,
using your own money, you're not doing anything really.
right,
So one of the things that I have tried to explain to people is the club has to generate money and make itself profitable. If you have to keep putting money from your own purse, then you're doing nothing.
yeah.
So with that said, do you think our issue is our recruiting, or the injection of cash flow from the owners? because we have seen that money solves a lot of problems for a lot of clubs. Is that the
Absolutely.
case in Orlando?
Absolutely. Well, what I would say to answer that question, it's an interesting question, and it's one that I imagine lots of people on the terraces are looking enviously at what our neighbours to the north and south are doing. You've explained it there, how it works. Major League Soccer is still a salary cap league, and what I would say is that I genuinely do believe this. I think we get the most out of what we do. We're I think the day, obviously we joined Major League Soccer with Kaká, and we had Nani, and I don't think we're going to see those kind of legends of the game figureheads, certainly in the next coming years. Um, so our strategy under Ricardo, under Luis Musi, we've been going for the guys that you know um, could be the next great player. So we're not going for those top names. And it's been a subject of debate on Pasalic. Let's talk about Pasalic straight away. In the off season, I knew the player before. I knew he'd played at Dortmund, but I didn't know a great deal. I'd be lying if I said I was an expert on him. Obviously, went back to his Croatian homeland and playing for Rijeka, and I've got to admit, at that stage, I was like, "Am I sure this is the guy to really succeed for Kundo Torres? Really, take us to an MLS Cup essentially?" And I wasn't sure, to be honest with you. Lo and behold, we're now midway through the 2025 season. He's been a fantastic addition, hit the ground running. Took a matter of minutes to get his first goal in purple. Then he got another one. So to answer your question, what I would say is that I I think we're doing the most we possibly can. I really do believe that. We all know the Wilfs. Are they billionaires? Am I right in saying that?
Yep,
Billionaires.
$5 billion, brother.
But as you eloquently said, they can't just put their hand into their pocket and say, bring me this guy, bring me that guy. So then, what ultimately it comes down to is smart recruitment, as going as far as possible in the cups to accumulate as much prize money as possible. And I think obviously we've won out one Open Cup since 2015, so I get that it's one trophy out of the ones we can win, but yeah, as far as the recruitment goes, I would answer your question as simply as this, and I would say there's not been many misses. There's not been many misses recruitment wise, for me at least, my opinion. The last few years, the last few seasons. So really, then if you get the right guys in, if the guys are playing well, it really comes down to coaching. Then what they're doing on the training field and what they're doing when it really, really matters. Obviously, we went up to Nashville. It was disappointing. I think the guys are absolutely cooked legs wise. It was a relentless May, loads of games. Don't get me wrong, I love the Open Cup. You said for the supporters on the terraces who were saying, I'm not really bothered. We've won this before. You should always be bothered about winning silverware.
Absolutely.
One side out of how many sides they're going to stop the expansion now after San Diego, but 30 plus sides to be the one that comes out on top every year, it's really hard to do. It's really, really hard to do. So then you have Leagues Cup, which we will contest later this season. You have the Open Cup. It's very, very easy. Even if you're a very good team who gets your recruitment right, you're happy with your head coach, and they're putting in good performances. Still very hard, difficult to win stuff. So I think really it boils down to supporter trust and faith at that point, and yeah, but it is a very interesting one. Obviously, I'm a Brit. You can tell from the accent. Over here, it's a bit different, with how it works.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Owners can put their hands in their pockets, and there is a bit more of a chasm between the rich and the poor. We know the American league system doesn't work just like that. Miami's a different conversation altogether, but
Yeah,
but
come on.
yeah, I really do. I think we make the most out of what we've got. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, can you hear us now?
I can now, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Get in. Come on now. All
Yeah,
right,
I
man.
don't know what.
Let's,
I've
uh, let's go ahead
no
and
idea
introduce
what's
you.
happening.
Let's go
So
ahead and
I'm on,
introduce you,
I'm
my
on my
friend.
phone.
Dan the English Lion, finally. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Good
Well,
thing.
doing great, doing better now that you're here. So to
Sorry,
catch up,
it took so long. I've had to download another browser on my phone.
oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
Ah,
well, I've tried. I've got about four different browsers on my laptop and my tablet. One
it
of
was
them was
thought it was
working.
important. Yeah, I hear you, my.
You
All
conquered
right.
it, mate. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Awesome. So
exactly.
then we were talking about well, beginning of the season. Spoke with Oscar. He laid out his vision on how he wanted us to play. Hard start of the year as always, and I say as always because since Oscar has been here, it has been very difficult for us
Mm,
to just get some sort of traction, and then all of a sudden. Summertime comes around. We get our 1980s photo montage, video montage, play Eye of
yeah,
the Tiger in the background, and we make blazing saddles to the postseason as always, like nothing ever happened. And
yeah,
I had mentioned that to Taylor that I met a fan of well, now a fan of Orlando City, from Wrexham, and
yeah,
when we're talking about Wrexham the club, obviously the documentary very popular here in the United States. They have a huge following, and I told him, I say, look, the people that are angry at your club or jealous of your club is because they wish that had happened to their club. And
mm,
Taylor was at the tail end of answering my question. Do you think that our issues are recruiting or lack of money infusion from ownership? And I kind of argued that somebody that has been in the industry of business for a while, I've been in the workforce for 31 years. The owner of a business that has to inject his own money into the business, then it's not being successful. The business has to generate its own
mm.
revenue for it to be reinvested into the club. So we would like to hear your opinion on that, and then after that we can go into the your opinions about the Open Cup and our results there.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's an ownership issue. If I'm being completely honest, and I've said this for a little while. I think just going back to how we've started this season, I haven't looked at the numbers. I meant to look at them before I came on, but with my tech issues, I've not had a chance. But it feels like it's a stronger start. It just there's a lot of draws in there, which have kind of like tempered the momentum a little bit. Um, Hopefully, we'll go on our sort of usual end of season run and finish quite strongly. But I kind of feel like we're in quite a good position at the minute. I'm not too downbeat on that. With the ownership issue and the lack of investment, it's been something I've been talking about for a long while. It kind of feels like we have to sell someone and then we'll reinvest a little bit of that, but the rest of the money, well, who knows where that ends up. It, during the off season, I was a little bit worried. It felt like we weren't really any stronger than what we ended last season, and I think to an extent that's probably still the case. Lewis Muriel's finally decided to turn up, so we probably are a bit stronger in that sense. But in terms of like recruitment, nothing's really changed. Pasalic has come in and done really well, but he just kind of feels like he's replaced Fernando Torres at a
Hmm.
fraction of the price. And I kind of, I've had my frustrations with Oscar over the years, but I'm definitely feeling them a lot less this year because I kind of just think he's doing the best with what he's got.
Hmm.
And it does actually feel like if we were to add like two or three more players of real quality, we'd be right up there, like in terms of supporter shield and all the rest of it. And
No,
then obviously going out of the Open Cup, which I'm sure we'll touch on, um, is frustrating. But you get again, you kind of left wondering. Well, actually, if we'd had a bit more squad depth, could we have rotated a bit more, and could we have managed that game better?
no, absolutely.
So yeah, it's a strange one. I kind of feel like the depth isn't necessarily there at the minute, but in terms of the starting 11 and the results the guys are churning out, can't really complain too much.
No, I hear you, brother. And before you came on, I was telling Taylor that I follow the club on LinkedIn, which is
Mm.
basically it's a platform. It's some people consider social media. I don't. Is really about networking for work, and every job that I had in the last 15 years has come out of that.
Yeah,
And I did notice that the things that the club posts there are very professional. They're very driven to the business of football, and I am
yeah,
very fascinated by the whole thing. If I could go back 30 years into the past, 31 years into the past, and talk to my high school self just graduating, I probably would have gone a different direction. Instead of engineering, I probably would have gone into I have a fascination for the kid manager. I think that the
Yeah.
guy is living the dream, and our kid manager is a fantastic guy. We have interacted.
Charles, right?
But anyhow, the thing about it is we had some changes in the front office this year. As you guys know, Ricardo
hmm
Moreno and Luis Musi got promotions. The guy running the at the helm is actually Ricardo. Luis is more like business side of the house now. Although obviously he still has an imprint on what happens in our recruiting and our investing, et cetera, et cetera. I talked to Ricardo very briefly at the end of a OCB game, the last one that I attended. Super excited, and for the fans here locally that hear this, OCB games are great because you're sitting watching the game with Oscar and Luis and some of the players from the first team. It's a very homey atmosphere, and where you can really sit next to a player and just like talk, like yeah, Ramiro Enrique likes to go with his dad, and World Cup winner, by the way, 1986. So it's just a fantastic atmosphere, and I think congratulated him for his promotion. He's just like, hey, I'm just excited. We're trying to make it, and last Saturday, the club had an event where we went to the training facility, got to see the guys have a scrimmage, and they were signing autographs and stuff like that. And the feeling that I got from the fans, and I'll make it short because obviously the show is about your opinions, not mine. The feeling that I got from the fans is that people are all in on the project. On Oscar, I mean Oscar, I spoke with him again. He wasn't supposed to be part of the event, but somebody that you may
mm
know called him over. Hey, can you sign this? And then Oscar like jumped the fence and just started going buck wild with people. People just love him. I just it's basically back to what Inchi was back in the day. And I know, Dan, you remember the USL era because you were living in Orlando. It is back to that, and I think that has a lot of value with the fans. And I finished with this. I was standing in line with two fans, and one told me something, and I'm a very emotional person.
mm
That won me over. He said, I come from New Smyrna Beach. That's Volusia County. Good hour and some change for folks that are out of the area. And I've been a season ticket holder since 2016. And there was many times where I questioned myself if I was throwing my money away and what was I doing this? Why was I driving all the way over here, wasting all that gas to sit and watch utter garbage? But I stuck with it because it's my club, it's my team, and without me, they are nothing. And now I'm seeing the benefits of it. I was able to see them win a trophy, and I feel it in my heart that the day will come when we're gonna lift that trophy. I had to restrain myself from hugging this man because I felt, guys, that we finally had football culture in Orlando when people
Mm.
put the badge and their feelings above the results. So,
mm.
Taylor, let's start with you, and then Dan, and then we're gonna go into the Open Cup.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's great to hear that, what are we? We had our 10th season in Major League Soccer last season, now the 11th season. And yeah, we Orlando City is an entity that's been around a decade now, so, and even longer when you extend the USL into that as well.
Mhm.
And it's great to hear stories like that. And And, I don't want to make this a Pappy in, a Pappy out soundbite, half-term report. But you said, yeah, Inchi did incredible things for us, but Oscar's been doing it at the MLS level. He's got an Open Cup to show for it. Still missing the MLS Cup on the CV. I think I've not got the stats right here in front of me, but in terms of coaching MLS performances, he's now I think he's just behind Siggy Schmidt or whoever it was. He's right near the top, in other words.
Right.
So and he's the only one. I remember seeing, after the Atlanta defeat, a few of our supporters were talking about it. He's coached that many wins, and he's like the only one out of that top 4 or 5 who's not won MLS Cup. And he'll know that. He'll know that for sure. And and you saw last night, the social media team put it out there. He was really, really obviously it's a former side that he'd managed in Colorado Rapids, but that meant a lot to him. And for everyone, yeah, I mean, everyone knows by now I'm a huge Pappy guy. I'm a Pappy in. When we have a couple of blips, I'm from the school of, you know,
Mm.
behind him. Look at what he's done. Don't get me wrong. He's not infallible, and he makes mistakes. And he gets things wrong. And this is soccer. So if he goes 10 games without a win, and he doesn't make playoffs, and he come, of course I can move to the to the median or to the I think his time's up. But really, I'm just this is just me, my opinion. I'm just one of these guys that culture is the word you said, and he's been a big part of that now. And 12 games unbeaten. I've got the form table up now. So I saw a ton of people lose their shit. And I
Mm.
get it because we threw the game away at that Atlanta game. I go back to it. Before
Mhm.
that, it was 12 games unbeaten. Not many sides do that. Not many sides do that. Just look at ourselves over the last couple of years. Win, win, loss, draw, loss. Like summertime sadness. Like
Yeah.
we're not doing it. And also for everyone who's like, we're rubbish. We've not learned whatever. Look at how exciting we are to watch this year. So I'll say that if
Thank
you're
you.
one of these that there's two that all those nil-nils, we succumb to the red mist again. I get it because that's where we've fallen short before under this head coach, under this ownership, blah blah blah. But we're a hell of an exciting team to watch this year. We are really, really exciting to watch. And maybe not last night, but it's a mile high altitude. We take
Yeah.
it, but we're super. So I just want to. You're gonna get it because this is soccer, it's Twitter. But I was just like, really, do me a favor when I saw people moaning. After I was like, this season feels. Dan already alluded to it. This season feels different to me, at
Yeah.
least to the
Mm.
last few. Don't get me wrong. We're fifth, so it's not like we're going for a supporter shield or anything like that. But it's tight. So we've lost. We've essentially lost 4 games of soccer. The opening day, which we never do, so that was different. We knew we was in for a different kind of.
Yeah.
We lost the opener, which we never do, but we've lost 4 games. May was ridiculous. Into Miami, man. I can't let this pod pass me by without talking about that. The 3-0 victory down there at Miami. We've gone down there 3 times in Oscar's tenure. I mean, come on, man. Like, if you're like, if you want to
That's
sack
good
him,
you've done.
tell me who's better to
Yeah.
be appointed tomorrow, and we're going to suddenly become an MLS club. No, I'm not. I'm still not having it.
Yeah.
He is the man for us, and you've got to put your faith in him. I think we recruit well always. I think we're having a very, very good season. Without those 2 blip defeats, look where we'd be, right near the top.
Mm.
There's not a lot that's wrong. So yeah, sorry, I'm in rant mode, but just remembering a lot of the shit I read a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. Not having it, man. We're having a good, solid season. And it really comes down to those fine margins for me now between becoming one of the top teams.
Absolutely. Then.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Atlanta results, but I kind of had the same feelings coming out of that, like in terms of like why is everybody losing their shit with this. I mean, it was disappointing, but I kind of feel like most of that was just because it was Atlanta.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and whereas actually, if you take away the badge, they're a good side, difficult place to go. It was just one of those games. I'm just looking. I mentioned it earlier. The comparison to last season. I can't seem to find the comparison to the same stage last season. But if you look at the overall record, we lost 14 games last year. We've lost four,
Mm. Midway.
and like Taylor said, a couple of them were really unlucky. So if you assume we're going to carry on at the same sort of pace, we're going to lose 8 games this season. So that's already a 6 game improvement in terms of losses. That's already points you didn't have before. We've already scored half the amount of goals we scored last season. I know we are halfway through the season, but we haven't hit our form. We haven't hit our late summer. Um, I kind of feel like last year that was padded out a bit towards the end during that great run we went on. Yeah, I think people just need to relax a little bit. We're in a really good position, like I said, and when you consider how badly the last few seasons have started, I'll take this all day long.
Hmm.
And like in the past, I've had my reservations about Oscar. I think he's always done a decent job. He obviously bought us trophies. He's made us a playoff contender every season. But in terms of like, I just don't feel like he's been backed enough financially. So when you look at the squad we have now and the results we're getting, we're doing really well. And actually, if it weren't for the Nashville game, I think that's what kind of upset a lot of people. But again, I alluded to it earlier. If we had more strength and depth, we can probably manage that game better.
Yes.
Um, so it's nothing but positive for me. Like I mean, last night, yeah, it didn't look like it was a classic. I watched the highlights this morning because the days of me being able to stay up till 3 in the morning are long gone.
Yeah,
um, But yeah, it looks like we were well on top of the first half, and I actually I put a video on TikTok this morning. I don't know if you guys saw it, but SofaScore had us down for a 0.228 xg, which just kind of looked a bit harsh, really, considering the how close we went on a number of occasions in the first half. And then you're always going to weather a bit of a storm. They're a good side as well. It's a tough place to go at altitude. Evening game as well.
hmm
It's difficult, and they rode the storm well, and we got the 3 points. So what more do people want, really?
No, for sure. Then, and I haven't watched the your video because I went straight to bed because I knew I had to get up at the crack of dawn today.
Yeah,
I just bed straight to the computer. But you bring up a good point. People are very demanding nowadays. I think because we had success, people forget very easily who we were 6 years ago.
yeah,
I remember vividly. I remember going to the end of the 2018 season, last game of the season. If there was 10,000 people there, it
mm,
was it was shockingly a lot. And I was there talking to our good friend JJ from Orlando Lions. Then, I mean, we had the whole sections for by ourselves. And I remember asking him, after all the success that we had in USL, will we ever fill this place again? And I remember him in his football wisdom, because obviously he's from Portugal, and a lot of people hate him because
yeah,
he
He speaks
says
his mind, old JJ.
yes, and he said
yeah. Good guy, is he?
he said we're never gonna fill this place until people feel as passionate for the club as they do for winning. And I
Hmm.
have to say, guys, that has a self-fulfilling prophecy, because
Hmm.
now, I like I said, speaking to that supporter last Saturday, made me realize that the people are willing to rough it out. Like the old saying says, if you're not willing to starve with me today, you cannot feast with me tomorrow. Um, Talking about that, you guys, as English fans, you guys seen your clubs go through the ups and downs more than I believe.
Yeah.
I believe your club went down as low as League One at one point.
Yeah.
Um, and people don't care, man. People will follow their clubs to the death of hell if they have to. Uh,
Mm.
I think we are getting that here now in Orlando, because the USL era has rubbed off. Some of those fans have moved away. Some unfortunately have passed, and
Mm.
you know, the beauty in all this is that we're starting to see those kids that were toddlers, teenagers back in the day now,
Yeah.
uh,
Coming of
grown,
age.
right, coming of age, which leads me to the Open Cup, a tournament dear to my heart. I have to tell you, and when I speak with British people, I always say, well, you know, it's our version of the FA Cup, blah 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 blah. And as a Stevenage supporter, going to Villa Park a few years back
Mm.
in the FA and beating them, to me the greatest moment of my support for that club. I have the jersey that they wore that day, signed by the whole team. And you know, if every time I'm a Villa fan, I just bring it up. So Taylor, I guess your wife is not gonna like me very much.
She's wiped it from her memory.
Yeah, man. So with that said, 9 years at trying, we finally won the darn thing. The next year, unfortunately, we were knocked out immediately, which I still don't understand how that happened. But last year, people were very angry at the fact that we were not in it. People like myself, we boycotted this show, boycotted the whole thing. You know, it made for strange bedfellows because, you know, some people that really don't like podcasters or like me personally, all of a sudden were my biggest fan. And we got in it. The club got in it. I actually emailed the club and I just went off like saying, you know, this is offensive. Don't do this. Blah blah blah. We're back in it. The attendance wasn't that great. Once again, you know, I have argued, games in the middle of the week in Orlando are awful. I
Yeah.
had to work. I was in Fort Lauderdale, so I couldn't attend. Uh, you know, because I had to pay the bills. The um, the first game we went down to, and I'm rushing through this so we can hear you. The first game of the season, I'm sorry, of the tournament was against an old rival, Tampa Bay Rowdies. My opinion, there's no rivalry with Tampa Bay Rowdies anymore. We're not the underdog. It's not 2011, and we're toiling away with guys
Mm.
that nobody ever heard of. We won that war. We made it to MLS. They're you know they're hanging on to a thread because they're probably gonna lose their stadium. All that. And I think that the rivalry means more to us than to them. If you saw them, they gave up 2 goals to a 16-year-old. Enough said. I mean, if you are a Rowdies fan,
Mm.
you basically bought, you rented a room in the hotel across the street and jump out of the window at that point. So guys, your opinion on how our performance in this tournament went this year, and if we should read too much into it. Let's start with you, Dan, and then Taylor. And I'm
Back
gonna
to
walk away to get a drink, guys. So that does, you know, just to let you know.
the outcome, right? Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think had we been able to rotate a bit more for that game, and because it was a leggy performance, wasn't it? It felt very. You looked at the lineup and you thought, oh, strong lineup. But yeah, I remember watching it and thinking this just looks a tired performance, and it kind of just went south, didn't it? And I think that's added to a lot of people's disappointment because that was a winnable game. And then also with all of the emotion of last season, like not being in the cup and the Leagues Cup and all that stuff, I think a lot of people, myself included, I'm always excited about the cup. I love the cup, any cup competition. I just think it's the jeopardy's higher. whether it's the Open Cup or the FA Cup or whatever it is. It's just big fan of a good cup tie. But yeah, it just felt like we needed to manage that game better, and I just felt it was tired legs, tired minds, and going 2-1 down, we kind of just gave ourselves a bit of not a mountain to climb, but a large hill that at the end of like a long walk, so it had been a punishing few weeks, and yeah, I think it left a bit of taste in the mouth for sure. I'm kind of curious how you guys feel. Just speaking of the Open Cup, the League's Cup's happening again this year, isn't it? How do we feel about it this year? Now that we've been in the Open Cup.
Let's go and
Uh,
win it. Let's go win
yeah,
it. You know,
Taylor, I'm gonna give you the chance here. I just wanna quickly. I'm very indifferent towards the Leagues Cup. It's a made up tournament. We are not playing in Mexico, so if, for example, we have two
Yeah,
home games and one away. They're all at home. So how is that advantageous to the Mexican team? So,
yeah,
all right, brother.
yeah. Open Cup. It was super disappointing for me. And a narrow defeat as well. So May was relentless. We were leggy. If we could have rotated more, I think we could have got through that game. Nashville are not world beaters.
mm,
Um, but yeah, for the supporters who still downbeat despite the 12 games unbeaten, despite the blip, whatever. I do get that. That was I did wake up because like Dan, I don't nearly watch
mm,
as many games as I used to live anymore. Such as getting older. But yeah, I did wake up and I was like, damn, because I think it's a missed opportunity this season. I really do. David was speaking earlier, and I was saying to David, it's hard to win silverware. So many teams in Major League Soccer, like no one's got a God given right. It's really tough. I think it was a big missed opportunity for us this year. Just 16 MLS teams in it again. No Inter Miami, no Columbus Crew. No LAFC. A lot of the big boys, because they're in the Club World Cup or what have you, we're not in the Open Cup this year. I'm looking now. I've got the Wikipedia up. So the quarterfinalists: Union, who are having a great season, to be fair. Red Bulls, Nashville, DC, Minnesota United, Chicago Fire, Earthquakes, and Austin FC. I mean, Orlando City are a better side than a lot of those teams mentioned.
mm,
Interesting that no minor league sides made it, like Sacramento did when we won. We were blessed that year. We really were. Um, but yeah, it's a big missed opportunity against Nashville because, and we dropped the ball on that one because you get through that. Who would have we had? I'm just looking. So Nashville were playing DC United at home. DC are an awful side in the East. Let's be honest. We would have beat
Yep.
them. And I really did think we was going to win that. So your sentiment, you were just coming on to Leagues Cup, David. Am I that arsed now that we were back in the Open Cup? Major League Soccer's my bread and butter. Leagues Cup, everyone knows my thoughts on it. I boycotted it last year. I'm not the greatest lover of
mm,
that competition. There's way too much football worldwide in general, as there is in Major League Soccer. I want to keep my guys as healthy as possible to finish as high as possible in MLS before
mm,
anything else, and then to go as deep as possible in the postseason. And you're playing different opponents, so that's interesting. We've played all the MLS sides, so many times now, so it's interesting for me. We're playing the Caxa, I believe. I forget the other two sides, but they're both from Mexico. Um,
Mess.
so it won't be like May. There's a gap designated for this tournament, so
Yeah,
we can manage the squad a bit better. But I'm not overly. Now we're out of the Open Cup, is what I'll say. Why not? Give it some. Because
mm,
very hard. We went to the Eastern Conference final. Can we win MLS Cup this year? I believe we can, but it's going to be incredibly tough. So it's the only other chance to win a trophy. We all support our football clubs to win trophies. Let's go for it, as far as I'm concerned. Now we're out of the Open Cup as well. But yeah, big missed opportunity against Nashville. I think we could have won the Open Cup. Not easily, but I think we could have sailed through to the final if we got through that game.
For sure. And our opponents in Leagues Cup is Pumas, Atlas, and Necaxa. To basically in Mexican football terms or in English football terms, basically you got Arsenal,
Yeah,
Manchester United,
It's tough.
too big for them.
let's see here, Everton maybe. I mean, these are some big names
Tough,
in Mexican
especially
football.
Pumas.
They're not gonna be easy. Pumas is a Mexico City area club, and Atlas and Necaxa are from the central northern Mexican area. Big cities, by the way.
And as well, what
Uh,
I'll say compared to other Leagues Cups, sorry to cut you, David, but just jumping in compared to previous Leagues Cups, because we're playing three Mexican sides compared to like Montreal or whoever else
right.
we played, we're
Mm,
probably going to be outnumbered at Inter and Co by the Mexican
Oh, no,
supporters.
come on, brother,
We
by
will
a
be,
long shot,
you know.
and Pumas. I would say Pumas and Atlas are gonna be the ones bringing
Yeah, big
the
time.
biggest crowds. Necaxa is interesting because Necaxa is a club that disappeared in the 70s and was brought back out of nostalgia because there's a for the Spanish speakers they know what I'm talking about. There's a comedy show called El Chavo del Ocho, super popular. If you speak Spanish or Portuguese, it's just part of the culture. I will send you guys a link of the show, so probably you caught it on channel surfing or something. And one of the main characters supported Necaxa, and so for Spanish speakers, this name resonates. So fans brought the name back, brought the club back, and they have been doing very well. They have been doing
mm,
very well. I think probably the weakest out of all three. But in the past, we have played some sides that are more MLSy sides. I know Santos Laguna is a club that we have faced before. Not to offend our good friend Miguel Gallardo, that's his hometown club, but these are tough. This is gonna be tough, especially Pumas. That it's gonna be a bloodbath, but I invite that because my opinion. I remember when we played Tigres a few years back, and we
yeah.
ended up with that 1-1 loss, right?
Urchin what a goal.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Erchin Karas.
Mm,
It's actually a pin on our Instagram. It's insane. Um, those fans, a lot of them were like, "Oh, I never consider Orlando City an option. I'm gonna come back to games." So it to me it's very productive to get people in the door. And I have mentioned my surgeon when I had my surgery a few years back, huge Newcastle supporter, and when we first met in my hospital room, I had a Orlando City blanket. Just my wife, just in the haste of, oh my God, my husband is in the hospital, just grabbed this thing because I was cold, and he's like, "Do you follow those guys?" I said, "Yeah, I love them," and I just went off about them, and he gave us a chance, and I remember going to the appointments, and the conversation went from Newcastle to Orlando City, so
mm,
again, it's a great opportunity to bring more fans, but the reality is that it's a very steep hill for Orlando in that tournament. And to be honest with you, if we are gonna crap on the fact that Miami won it or was gifted that trophy, we're not gonna say, "Oh, it's a major trophy because we're gonna win it." So
yeah.
I'm indifferent, to be honest with you guys. Moving on to one thing that is happening with the club as of late is the fact that our academy is racking up trophies. Our academy is putting out talent that is going to college, that is going to the USL. By the way, to digress a little bit, the only team from the USL to make it to the last stage was Pittsburgh Riverhounds,
Mm,
all rival of Orlando City. The goal was that send New York City packing was scored by a Orlando City product, Beto Hidrach, who for Spanish speakers they recognize the last name because his cousin is a huge podcaster and stand-up comedian, and he's Orlando born. He played for UCF. I mean, it doesn't say more Orlando than that. He played for OCB. So we're starting to see talent come up. Alex Freeman, obviously, is the name that jumps at us. Ellis, who won with the U18s, I think it's like the Freedom Championship. or tournament in Europe. It's like an invitation only UEFA tournament. So we decided to see our guys do big things, and that's great because that means that we are a selling club rather than going out like we did with Facundo Torres and splurging money for players that really don't have any alliance to us, and they're just gonna move on to the next opportunity. Thoughts on the academy? Let's start with you, Taylor, and then.
Yeah, it's super exciting. It really, really is. Like I said, 11th Major League Soccer season now. So, our academy, it's really exciting as a supporter because you're starting to see guys, who, they were this big, which seems like only a few years ago. And now, they're signing for the first team. Zach Taifi being the latest one. His mum's
Absolutely.
so passionate on Twitter. She's followed me for years, and it's just really, really like heartwarming to see her son kind of sign for the first team now. Caraballo, we spoke about his brace at the Rowdies. I think he has the highest ceiling of all. I'm super excited. Anyone worldwide, let alone Major League Soccer, when you sign a first team contract at 16 years old, you're going to be a serious footballer. So we've already seen the potential he has. What I will say, because I've got to shoot in the next 5 minutes, but what I will say is now I'm gutted Duncan Maguire his other shoulder. 3 to 4 months, they reckon now. He's going to be out of action. Gutting. We'd seen Justin Ellis, who you mentioned, David. He made a match day squad, short-term agreement. I think we're going to be seeing a bit more of him in the match day squads going forward for the second half of the season. He's been doing some incredible things with OCB and the age groups. His ceiling looks really, really high as well. So it's a super exciting time to be following the club's academy. Caraballo, Taifi, Ellis. Those guys are definitely the next ones in line. Even beyond that, you've got guys on OCB like Bernardo Ryan, left winger, and we seem to be, like you said. Alex Freeman. I forgot Alex Freeman. He's, part of the first team picture now. What a season he's had. Hopefully he sees out this season with us and then gets his move at the end of the season. That's just me being selfish.
Yeah,
I don't think he will. He's obviously playing in the Gold Cup this summer. But I don't think we lose him mid-season. But his athleticism and his goal getting up and down that right wing, so impressive. Such a bonus for us this year as well. Speaking to yourself, David, speaking to the guys at Lions Den and Loud and Proud Orlando, those guys said he had a really good preseason, and don't be surprised if he, has a breakout year. And
hmm
so it's proved. But yeah, it's really, really good to see Orlando, born and bred players in our first team, in and around it. And these guys are assets, and I think obviously we rally behind them because they're from Orlando, but I genuinely, if you look and I've followed these guys, what they've been doing with the age groups, I think these guys, and you see other accounts on Twitter who follow the US men's national team, and they're always talking up our guys. I think we've got a special crop at the moment. And it's just great, now we're 11 years in, all of these cogs, that were establishing themselves in our formative years. We're starting to now, that purple pipeline, as they call it, you couldn't describe it better. They're now producing. So Freeman's the shining light, and Caraballo, I think, is going to be the next one. But yeah, hopefully, I think to the listeners, I think we'll see Ellis in a few more matchday squads, especially now Maguire. We're already two strikers deep essentially now with Enrique and Maguire, so I think we'll see Ellis making up the 18. Um,
yeah. Duncan is out for shoulder surgery, so
Yeah.
definitely somebody will have to step in. And before we hear from that, Taylor, you have to go, right?
I've got to shoot, guys, but what I'll say is keep the faith. It's a good season. No summertime sadness yet. Rally behind Pappy, rally behind the boys, and let's have a good second half of the
All
season.
right. All right, my friend. Thank you for coming. I know you gotta
Yes,
go.
boss.
I just want to leave you with this bit of information. I asked Gustavo Caraballo who drives him to the games, and he pointed to his mom. So that's the big question in the podcast: who drives this guy to the games? I mean, obviously he's too young to get a driver's license yet. So there you guys go. His mom drives him to the games. Taylor, my friend, it's always a pleasure, my guy. I know you gotta go. Thank you for joining us, and Dan and I will wrap it up.
Thanks, guys. Vamos Orlando.
See you later, mate.
All right, my brother. All right, then. Same question to you. What's your take on the academy and our future in for the boys in purple?
Yeah, it seems like it's in good shape. I mean, I'm a fan, and I say this from my English club as well. I don't tend to watch much youth football. My interest tends to peak when they arrive around the first team scene. But even just looking at the bench last night, even without Freeman, you've got three or four academy graduates on the bench, which we spoke a bit about depth earlier. I suppose the one positive about not having a lot of squad depth is it does give more opportunities to the youngsters, who have all come in and done well to varying degrees this season. So it can only be a good thing. As Taylor called it, the purple production line. Even if these players don't make it, you can sell them on and you can make a bit of money. All of the best clubs in the world, all the biggest clubs in the world, have successful academies. So I'm all for investing in that. I'm all for giving those players the opportunities in the first team. And hopefully they'll continue to take them, as Alex Freeman has done this season. I mean, who could have predicted that? I mean, I'm probably coming from a slight place of ignorance because, as I alluded to just now, I don't tend to watch a lot of youth football. So when I saw us heading into the season with Alex Freeman as possibly the first choice right back, I was a little bit concerned. But I didn't need to be because who could have predicted how well he's done? He's already, senior US men's national team caps.
Hmm.
He's got a bright future, very bright future, very
No,
exciting player. The more
and,
important you get, the better.
no, and I agree with you. The reality is that very few people pay attention to what's happening with the reserves and the academy because, like you said, what we're paying for is the first team.
Yeah,
The advantage that I have is I'm here, right, and I
yeah,
promote all sorts of products. The To be honest with you, MLS is weird, to use that word just because I have a hard time finding how to describe this. But we're a league that invests a lot in grabbing our pipeline and putting it out there for consumption. Like you
yeah,
can
yeah,
some of the LCB games on YouTube or on Apple Plus, which other leagues don't care for that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, yeah, like my team Stevenage or Maccabi Haifa, who cares? You know what I'm saying? If they win a championship or something, they will put it on their social media. But like nobody like goes, oh my god, the U12s are playing today. I gotta catch that game. Nobody cares about that.
yeah.
Unfortunately, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
but
it's for me. It's not really a conscious thing because, like I say, even with Nottingham Forest's youth team, they won the Premier League Cup this year, and I didn't watch a single game. I think it's just mainly because I got to draw the line somewhere. I watch the women's team for both clubs. I watch the men's team.
yeah.
I watch a lot of football. I got to draw the line somewhere.
No, I'm with you, man. And us married with kids, at
Yeah,
some point you have to dedicate time to your family.
yeah. But it's
Uh,
good. It's good. Winning breeds confidence and breeds a winning attitude. I think if youth teams are successful, it can only be good for the club. So,
mhm.
nothing but positive things to say about the Orlando City Academy.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So wrapping it up here, we're moving on to what used to be the summer of sadness, and I wish I had asked this when Taylor was still here. So I would love to get his perspective. Traditionally, you have to be in a playoff position in by June 1st to make playoffs. Last year we were not.
Yeah,
We were the first team to break that sort of law of nature in this league. In the last 20 years, that was the way. And To quote the Mandalorian, and now we made playoffs, and not only that, we go to the conference final, which ended up in heartbreak. And I asked this to Taylor, and well, you were still having issues. It ended up in heartbreak.
hmm
I took it as just the cruelty of football. Our day will come when we win, when we lift a trophy, none of this is gonna matter. Right now, we are in playoff position, as you see.
Yeah,
Uh, we got a little bit of more rest, some more games to play. What Orlando has to do to get themselves in a hosting position, just like they did last year, and also what is going to be different this year? Obviously, no Facundo Torres. Uh, we have a healthier, leaner, more active Luis Muriel, which last year the guy was basically an anchor in our boot. Um, what has to change? What is gonna get us over the line? And last, we saw that big names and big regular season
mm,
results don't matter, because we saw that Miami just got bounced out by a team that barely made it into the playoffs, humiliated at their house.
yeah,
I enjoyed every moment of it. When I'm feeling down, guys, I just go on YouTube and watch that video again,
yeah,
and it breaks my day up.
yeah.
So what do you think about that, man?
I think the next 6 games. I'm just looking at the schedule now. The next 6 games are possible. I don't want to say make and breaks. That make or breaks. That seems a bit dramatic, but probably as close to it as you can get without actually being make or break. So the St. Louis City. Um, Basically, the next 6 games, 4 of the teams we're playing are towards the bottom of the conference. And then we've obviously got games against Cincinnati and New York, who were, up there with us. So we can't really afford to drop too many points. If we want to keep in touch with the top four, we need to be looking to get at least 4 points from Cincinnati and New York. And then, really, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say we should be winning the other 4 games. If you do that, it puts us in a great position, because then it takes us to the 26th of July, where we go to Columbus, which is always fun. Um, we've had our bouts with them over the years, haven't we? At the
Hmm.
minute, they're obviously a place above us, but you have the break for the League's Cup then. So I think if we were to go into the League's Cup with a bit of momentum behind us, having won 4 or 5 of those 6 games and then possibly gotten something in Columbus, I think it puts us in a great position to finish in the top four. Possibly even higher, because when you come back from, I mean, when you come back from the League's Cup, that's when it's sort of a bit more difficult in terms of assuming the pace setters that are up there already, Phillies, Nashville, etc. We don't have a game against Philly, I don't believe, do we?
Yeah,
Um,
I believe we're done with them.
so that's unfortunate. You're kind of waiting for them to slip up, but then we've got 2 games against Nashville, which they're going to be huge. Because I do rate Nashville. I think they'll be up there. They'll keep their momentum. So yeah, it's the next 5 or 6 games are key. I think they're really important. Like I say, you go into that 4 or 5 games, 4 or 5 wins out of those 6 games. We're laughing. We're in a great position.
I'm with
I
you, my
think
friend.
that's what needs to happen. I think if we don't hit those sorts of numbers, then it gets a bit more tricky
Hmm.
for the
Hmm.
League's Cup. 'Cause obviously, the League's Cup's probably going to take quite a bit out of it. We've already spoken about it. We've got some top quality teams in there. Obviously, depending on how that goes, we've got Miami, SKC after that. So yeah, the next 5 or 6 games are crucial for me.
No, I hear you. Going to Leagues Cup, I think is like I said, we're not playing some chumps this year. Before we got some really bad MLS team and two like low table Mexican teams, which sort of like builds our head
Yeah,
like, oh, we can do it, and then we go to play really good teams and we're out of it. I,
yeah,
yeah, guys are gonna hate me, but I just don't think we come out of that group, and that's fine. Like I said, I'm completely
It'll
indifferent
be
to
hard,
the
yeah.
tournament. The Going back over our schedule, we have time off. We go to St. Louis for the very first time, Wednesday, June the 25th, and then we come home on the 28th, against a very good Cincinnati side. July is shall be interesting. We are away at Charlotte over the 4th of July weekend. We got Montreal that is not having a great season. NYC that are very bad on the road.
Yeah,
Playing at their house difficult. Playing them
yeah,
on the road easy. Then we go to New England. Then we go to Columbus. Two very tough matches
yeah,
there before the Leagues Cup, and then because MLS is gonna MLS the first game out of Leagues Cup, which obviously we play on a Wednesday, is against
mm,
Miami. I guarantee you, Miami is probably gonna be well rested.
yeah,
Uh, it's gonna be on the Sunday soccer nights or whatever they're trying to do to pop it up. Last time this happened, we went down there and we beat them up 3-0. And I want to ask you about that. Um, and My screen here. Oh, okay. And then SKC, as you mentioned, at home, which are not having the best of seasons. Nashville games definitely critical. Playing Vancouver at home. Um, Vancouver we're having a great season. I don't know what happened. They got poisoned in Mexico, and all of a sudden they lost their mojo. We're gonna be going to DC, going to Cincinnati, Columbus. The end of the season is very critical because we're gonna be playing teams that are right now, as we're recording this, on top of the table, and then we finish in Toronto against a bad team, Toronto team that is just basically at that point
yeah,
probably gonna be begging for the season to be over. And I believe that's how we closed the season last year, wasn't it? In
yeah. I think so.
Toronto, with that sending Michael Bradley into
Like Bradley's
retirement.
retirement, yeah.
Yeah, with a
That
hat.
Vincent Maguire wonder goal.
Yeah, man. So then we in the Messi era, we were very unlucky with that team. I felt
Mhm.
that the Leagues Cup game, uh, completely corruption to the 25th power. Last year, the 5-0 defeat did not represent who we are.
Yeah,
And we went down there and we humiliated them to the world. If you look at the highlights the following day, the universe saw those highlights, and Orlando City put themselves out there.
yeah,
Uh, so your take on it, as this game is going to be another high-profile game, and the
yeah.
reality is, and what I watched the game, most of the game, in the Club World Cup. Miami just Messi looked like an old man that had no business being there.
Mm,
Is he gonna be a factor when he comes to Orlando? If he
yeah,
comes to Orlando, because he has avoided us all this time.
yeah. Oh, it was great when I had a few friends that made the trip down there, and it just looked like a great time. I really want to get one of those games in. I'm over. I don't think I'll be over for a little while now, but yeah, great win. It's always nice to go down there and rub their noses in it. I mean, we've spoken about this before, but I just can't stand into Miami. I just find them really frustrating. They just go against everything that I think's great about football. They're a franchise. They're not a proper club. Um, I don't I don't see a world where post Messi that they have this level of support, they have this level of interest. So I genuinely just don't see a world where it doesn't fall off the face of the earth. I'm not convinced Messi. I mean, bearing in mind, I was the ultimate Messi fanboy.
Mhm.
I was always Messi over Ronaldo. Both great players, but I just always loved Messi. I'm not sure how good it is for the league, him being in the league. I know that might sound a bit controversial. I went to Disneyland Paris a few months ago, and I remember getting into a discussion with people on Twitter because I saw so many Inter Miami Messi jerseys
Oh my goodness.
at Disneyland Paris, and we went on the PSG Stadium tour, and they were there as well. It was just like and some people are going, yeah, but it's good for the league, and I'm like, but is it? Is it not just good for Inter Miami and Don Garber?
Hmm.
Because those people aren't sort of tuning into, watching Inter Miami in the Open Cup. Like they just they're not. They're Messi fanboys. They're mainly like kids. I just don't. When Beckham did it, it was the league was in a position where it needed that kind of caliber of player. It needed that in global interest. Whereas now that MLS has been around for so long, and the perception towards MLS in Europe is changing. It's being seen as more of a competitive league. It's not. They did a lot of good work to shed the retirement league tag, and then it just kind of feels like Inter Miami have come in and just brought it all back. Um, and you're seeing that a lot in the summer with like the transfer rumours that go around. Pretty much every high profile player that leaves a European club is being linked with Inter Miami. I'm just not really sure that's
Yeah,
a good thing for the league. And you look at their lineup that day. Luis Suarez, I don't. He's such a great player in his day, but like you watch him play now, and it's just it's a bit sad, really.
painful.
Yeah, it reminds me of R9 in the 2006 World Cup, I think it was. And he just looked a shell of himself, and it's just kind of like, mate, just back in. Your body is given up. Just leave it. Um, so yeah, that's my rant on into Miami. Always enjoy going down there and smacking them about. I
For
don't
sure.
think that. I think just looking at their fixtures in the Club World Cup as well, they're going to get humbled by Porto and Palmeiras. I mean, like we were kind of talking about it before we started. The Club World Cup's not really being taken that seriously by fans in Europe, but I think
Hmm.
the fact that FIFA have put such a huge part of prize money in it, and most European leagues have such big issues with profit and sustainability, with financial fair play from UEFA and the Premier League and whoever else. A huge part of prize money suddenly have to take it seriously. So I can see FC Porto taking it seriously. I wouldn't be surprised if Porto hit them 4 or 5-0. Same for Palmeiras. They'll take it quite seriously. I think there's a real possibility we go into that game against Inter Miami, them being possibly, hopefully, humiliated in the Club World Cup, and then they've got quite a tough run after that as well. They've got Atlanta, away to Montreal, away to New England, home to Nashville, away to Cincinnati, away to Red Bulls, home to Cincinnati, and then it's the Leagues Cup again, Atlas, Necaxa, Pumas, and then us. So there's a very real possibility that Inter Miami are floundering at that point. So it'd be nice to put a nail in the coffin. I mean, I could be wrong, and they could win every single game, but that's football. But
No, that's for sure.
yeah, derbies. There's a real hatred with Inter Miami. I think any positive result against Inter Miami is always good. Um, so yeah, it's my
One of the
take.
things that I wish I would have asked when Taylor was here to get both of your perspectives. The game against Atlanta, we sort of we shot ourselves with the foot on that one with the red card. To be honest with you, the one result this season that I felt
Yeah,
that we gave the game away. But once again, a fan base that leaves on the 60th minute, abandons their club, absolutely has no moral ground to teach us or tell us anything
yeah.
at all. And so I'm gonna leave it at that. But as far as the Messi shirt, every time I go to a game at Orlando, there's always people with the Messi shirt. I honestly irks
Sorry.
me because they're at
Oh,
Orlando.
yeah,
Why would you? I remember going to a game and there was like like a family of 10 all dressing pink. Like, if you really like the guy so much, why don't you just jump on the train or your car and just go watch him? Oh, that's right, because the cheapest tickets down there are gonna be like $400, so you're coming to the cheaper option. Get it? I just I understand the fascination with a player. I
Mm,
again a fan base that leaves when said player is subbed off, is it even a real fan base to begin with? I
yeah,
honestly don't going back to your point. I just don't think that him being in MLS adds anything, because when he leaves, all those people are gonna be gone. Just like Ronaldo's gone from the Saudi league. Are we
mm,
still gonna have the arguments that the Saudi league is better than MLS? Like I used to see that, like, oh, the Saudi league is, like, nobody's gonna care about the Saudi league now that this guy has moved on. It's just the way it is.
yeah,
And perhaps, if the football gods loved us and Ronaldo came to Orlando, we probably could have had that when worlds collide. I would have loved to see that, but it is what
yeah,
it is. Then we're finishing here. First of all, thank you, my friend. I know I have to be frustrating with the issues. By the way, he was perfect until we hit record, and then everything
yeah.
went well. I
I
always
don't know what happened.
insight uh, for the folks in the UK that probably are tuning in for the first time on this. Where can they find you? And I know you stopped writing the blog. You're
Mm,
mostly like a digital content creator. By the
yeah.
way, we have new folks in communications. Does that mean that you don't get to ask questions in the post game because you are no longer having?
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of things. That and also the fact that my life's been a bit just busy, uh, new job and stuff like that. And then with the new TV deal with Apple, it was just getting harder and harder to stay up for the game. So I don't think I attended a press conference at all last season. So I think if you don't log in for a year, they just take you off anyway. 'Cause you're on like a mailing list. I could get back onto it, but I just don't. I don't think I'll be doing that this season. Maybe next
Okay,
season. Um, it's like I've not even really posted much on social media recently, just because you have 2 kids and a new job, which I'm really enjoying. But it's just been really busy. I just haven't had the time, and
I
I'm the
hear you.
sort of person if I haven't got the time to do it properly, I'm not going to half-ass it. Do you know what I mean?
No, for
Um,
sure. I get it. I get it. And for the folks that are listening or watching this later on, I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to record this, because I this is how much it's a tradition now.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, this episode meant to me, but I get it. Then trust me, I got 3 kids. I got a highly demanding job,
yeah,
and just do this for the love of it. And I have said it, as long as my mom and 2 other dudes are tuning in, I'm gonna keep doing it. But
yeah. No,
eventually.
it's always a good time. It's nice for me as well because, like I say, I don't know if I'll be in Orlando for a couple of years just because of various trips and stuff we've got planned, which is it's kind of sad. And but it's a nice way to sort of keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure, brother, for sure. And I have met you and Taylor personally. So, and we've been buddies for over a decade now. So,
Yeah,
uh, following this club up and down, and up and down North America, and hopefully, this will be the year. At some point, you have to hit pay dirt. We have so many misses. So then where can people find you on social media?
mainly on X at the English Lion one and TikTok, I think, is going to be the main account that I use. TikTok and Twitter, same usernames. And,
Fantastic.
we do have an Instagram, but it's not getting used that often.
No, you should, man. You should. Instagram is fun. I would like to remind everybody that we are found on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Blue Sky, United Minutes podcast. Also, you can see us on YouTube live 9 p.m. local time on Mondays. And also, we're live on Instagram and Twitch and X and all that. Um, and you can hear us on audio. We always say where you consume your podcast, but it's mostly uh, you know uh, iPodcast or whatever that the app that you have on your iPhone, and and the other one I can't remember right now. Oh, got mental fog, man. I'm just tired. But anyways, thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. You being on, and
Oh, great.
usually Ahmed is the one that he's the intro, so I'm gonna try my the outro, I should say. So I'm gonna try my best to wrap it up by reminding everybody that the game of football is cruel and unpredictable. Football is a pound of talent and an ounce of luck. That football is played on grass, not on paper. And if you haven't cried over football for joy or anger, have you real football? For myself, Dan and Taylor, and briefly, Amen. May God bless you. And as always, vamos, Orlando.